June 23, 2022, Barclays Center, Brooklyn. 58 players will cross that stage tonight and shake the commissioner's hand. One of the most recognizable last names in basketball history isn't attached to a single one of them. Not top 5. Not the back of the second round. Not one of 30 teams picks up the phone. If you're the son of a 6-time NBA champion, a dream teamer, a Hall of Famer, this isn't supposed to happen to you. Isn't that the whole complaint people have about Nepo babies? The name is supposed to open the door that talent alone can't. Here's what actually sucks about being his son. Nobody at the NBA got that memo. His name didn't buy him a single phone call that night, because everything about his path to that silence on draft night, and everything that happened after it, reads less like a favor and more like a grudge match. Here's the part people skip when they roll their eyes at another famous kid trying to go pro. Scottie Pippen wasn't handed anything either. Growing up in Hamburg, Arkansas, Pippen was a wiry 6'1", 150-pound high schooler with exactly 0 college scholarship offers. His only shot was a walk-on tryout, arranged by his high school coach as a favor, for the NAIA team at a small in-state school, Central Arkansas. The coach running that program didn't even think Pippen was ready to play. He made him the team's equipment manager first. Then Pippen grew 7 inches in college, 4 points a game as a freshman, 23 as a senior. Jerry Krause, the Bulls' front office czar, watched him work out once and was so floored he pulled off a draft day trade just to get him. A story that's been front office legend ever since. 5th overall pick, 1987. 6 championship rings later. His own college coach put it best. Nobody recruited him. Nobody wanted him. So when Pippen's own son showed up on a basketball court 3 decades later, the assumption should have been obvious. Instead, it was the exact opposite. Turns out, in this family, doubt isn't a bug. It's hereditary. Scotty Pippen Jr. grew up in LA at Sierra Canyon, a high school so loaded with famous last names that Bronny James and Shaquille O'Neal were his literal teammates. On paper, that's about as Nepo as a childhood gets. But recruiting services still rated him a modest 3-star prospect. Top 300 nationally, not top 30. No blue blood program called. His actual offers, Washington State, Colorado State, UC Santa Barbara, UC Davis. He chose Vanderbilt. But even there, he wasn't the plan. He was insurance, buried behind a 5-star recruit named Darius Garland. Then Garland left early, and Pippen got his shot. By sophomore year, he was Vanderbilt's leading scorer, averaging over 20 points a game. Good enough that he tested the 2021 draft waters just to see where he stood. Nowhere, basically. He wasn't ranked among the prospects the major outlets were covering. So he went back to school, strung together another All-SEC season, and declared again in 2022. This time, the answer wasn't, wait a year. It was 58 picks, and not one of them was his. Every level I've been at, I've been doubted, Pippen would later say. High school, college, now this. Undrafted doesn't mean unemployed. Technically, the Lakers signed him after a strong summer league run. But on the roster and in the rotation are 2 very different zip codes. He played 6 total games for the actual Lakers as a rookie. Everything else, 2 full seasons of it, happened in the G League with the South Bay Lakers, where he quietly averaged over 20 points and better than 5 assists a night. That's not a bench warmer's stat line. That's the line of a guy his own organization keeps choosing not to promote. He even made the G League's own All-Star Showcase. Still nothing from LA. Then, in October 2023, the same Lakers cut him outright in training camp. By that point, 23 years old, 2 years deep into being one of the best players nobody in the NBA was watching, he'd started wondering if this was just what his career was going to be, dominating a level nobody paid attention to, while NBA teams looked past him the exact same way college recruiters once had. 3 months after the Lakers cut him, he was in a hotel room in Detroit, mid-road trip with the G League's South Bay squad, when his agent called with the only offer on the table, a two-way contract with the Memphis Grizzlies. He took it. Of course he took it. And almost immediately, Memphis's franchise point guard, Ja Morant, went down with a season-ending shoulder injury. The insurance policy was suddenly starting. 21 games, 16 starts, nearly 13 points a night on 49% shooting from the field. Not the numbers of a guy who's just happy to be there. That October, Memphis made it official. A real, standard 4-year contract. Not a max deal, nowhere close. In fact, analysts would later point to it as one of the best value contracts in the league, for exactly the reason you'd expect. He was being paid like a two-way afterthought and playing like a rotation piece. Here's where it gets almost unfair. In the 2025 playoffs, with Morant hurt again, Pippen dropped 28 and 30 points with the season on the line in back-to-back games against Oklahoma City. Memphis still lost the series. The box score didn't care. It just remembered who showed up. Months later, Memphis traded away Desmond Bane, a $36 million a year starter. Pippen, earning $2.2 million, was the one people pointed to as the actual winner of that deal. Cheaper, younger, and across that stretch of playoff basketball, arguably better. This was supposed to be the payoff year, the contract year, I told you so. Instead, his own body cashed a different check. A left big toe injury needed surgery before the season even started. He fought his way back into the lineup, and then the right big toe went too, ending his year after just 10 games, with a procedure most fans have never had to learn the name of. Even his own body, apparently, decided he hadn't finished proving anything yet. His father has talked about watching those Memphis games as a strange kind of déjà vu, decades removed from his own draft night, now watching from the stands instead of the hardwood, seeing the exact same fight play out one generation later. He's expected back at full strength next season, which means, on schedule, he'll be doing it again. That silence on draft night in 2022 wasn't the end of anything. If you're keeping score, it might have been the loudest thing that ever happened to him, because everything since has been the answer to it. The Pippen name never bought Scottie Pippen Jr. a single minute of NBA floor time, not one. From a two-way deal signed in a Detroit hotel room to 30 points with his season on the line, every minute he got, he had to take. Maybe that's the actual family inheritance. Not the rings, not the highlight reels, just a refusal to be handed anything at all. His dad walked on to college with nothing. His son's been walking on ever since. So next time somebody reaches for Nepo baby, make them check the box score first. Where's the actual line between a famous last name and a real free pass?
Comment below.